Glory to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to another episode of City of Desert. And once more, we are picking up with our reading from the first volume of the Philokalia and the writings and the sayings of Saint Isaiah the Solitary. And today, if you're following along in the text, we are in volume 1 with number 27. I'm sorry, we are considering saying 24 on page 27 of the text if you're following along. So again, that's saying number 24. In storms and squalls, we need a pilot, and in the present life, we need prayer. For we are susceptible to the provocations of our thoughts, both good and bad. If our thought is full of devotion and love of God, it rules over the passions. As hesychasts, we should discriminate between virtue and vice with discretion and watchfulness. And we should know which virtues to practice when in the presence of our brethren and elders, and which to pursue when alone. We should know which virtue comes first and which is second or third, which passions attack the soul and which the body, and also which virtues concern the soul and which the body. We should know which virtue pride uses in order to assault the intellect, and which virtue leads to vainglory, wrath, or gluttony. For we ought to purify our thoughts from all the self-esteem that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. This is the most detailed of Isaiah's sayings that we've come across so far. And he lays out for us very clearly that this is not a passive reality for us, engaging in the ascetic life, in particular the guarding of the heart, that we are also cultivating the sharpness of this tool, if you will, of this faculty, in order that we might discern with a greater clarity what is from God and what is not, the nature of the thoughts that come to us, acknowledging once again that we are in a constant state of receptivity through our senses and through what we think, what goes through our mind, imagination, memory. And so the heart has to be formed in such a way, and the nous, the eye of the heart, in such a way that it can recognize and discern with great clarity the virtues that are to be cultivated and the vices that are to be avoided, how they manifest themselves, the remedies that the fathers put before us, in particular, to overcome them. And so this watchfulness that Isaiah has been speaking to us about over the course of time is to be used again in this very active way, where we are aware of what is going on internally. And it is through the exercise of our faith and the exercise of this faculty of the nous that we are able then over the course of time to distinguish the 8 vices as Cassian describes them, how they manifest themselves, the remedies that the fathers put before us, what virtues are to be cultivated to overcome them, what virtues are to be cultivated first in order that we might lay the foundation for the spiritual life. This is where reading the Philokalia as a whole strengthens us in great measure. Cassian, who we will look at in not too long of a time from now, describes the 8 vices in great detail for us and how they manifest themselves. And so Isaiah is telling us that our energy, our attention is to be directed exactly towards that. And we are to know which of those vices in particular attack the bodily appetites, or that are rooted in our bodily appetites that we want often to satisfy. And the thoughts, the provocations that come to us often lead us in that direction. So we must know the thoughts that are tied to those bodily appetites, as well as this spiritual disciplines that we must embrace in order to overcome them. For example, lust in particular is rooted in the bodily appetite, our sexual appetites, gives rise to numerous thoughts that can stand before us as provocations. Certainly, we are to guard our thoughts. We are to read the scriptures to nourish ourselves upon the sacraments, but we are also to fast. We are to humble the mind and the body in order to strengthen our will as well in struggling with another bodily appetite, that is our sexual appetite. So we order and direct our hunger for food. We struggle with gluttony, overcome it in order to lay that foundation that later helps us then to deal with the bodily appetites for sexuality and the thoughts that emerge with them. All of this is to be done in a very disciplined way, as well as distinguishing uh, those vices and virtues that either attack or strengthen this more spiritual aspects of the internal life. And so we have to understand in particular how pride takes hold of us and the thoughts, the ideas that it leads to, and how this can also be used to weaken us in passions that we feel that we've already overcome. Vainglory, how it works on us, that we can be filled with a kind of self-esteem in the spiritual life, think that we have overcome the evil one, and in that self-esteem fall into then pride, judging others, or thinking that we can let down our guard in the spiritual battle. So once again, Isaiah offers us here essential schooling in the guarding of the heart, that it is to be relentless, but it also is to be filled with a kind of divine wisdom, that we allow the heart to be formed in and through our faith, and in and through the witness and the writings of the saints and the desert fathers, in such a way that we are able to gain this discernment as well. And so let us pray today through St. Isaiah, not only for this watchfulness of heart, but for the wisdom of God, that we would come to see in a spirit of humility where our poverty is found, what it is that we struggle with, and that in his wisdom we would also come to see the ways and the remedies that the fathers have put before us to engage in the battle against them. Thank you again. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.